18 months. My wife and I have been married for over 26 years. She is 49 and I am 50. A few years ago, she started going out on weekends and clubbing with her friends. I expressed my discomfort with this and she suggested that I join her, which I did. However, when I started working nights, she would text me throughout the night to let me know where she was. I noticed that she was becoming very close with her coworkers, and one day, while driving her to work, she told me that her coworkers were like family, and she wanted to start going out with them on Friday nights. I told her to keep me updated, but I made it clear that her family was me and our 2 sons, not her coworkers. I didn't think much of it until one night when I came home and found her drunk in bed, smelling of beer. This was unusual because she was never a big drinker and didn't like beer. When I confronted her, she said that everyone was just ordering rounds. I let it go, but I was suspicious. I checked her cell phone and noticed that the telephone log and sent texts had been deleted. When I asked her about this, she simply said that she deletes a lot of things. I pointed out that it didn't make sense for her to only delete the telephone log and sent texts. A week later, I was supposed to pick her up from work at 6 p.m., but she didn't come out until 8:30 p.m. I tried calling and texting her, but got no response. When she finally came out, she was reeking of alcohol and told me she would take a cab home. I asked to talk to her for a minute and she got into the car. I asked her where she had been since 4 p.m. when she got off work. She said she was at the office, but I questioned her about when the office started serving beer. I told her that I didn't care if she had a few drinks, but there was no need to lie. She then admitted that she had gone to the pub after work. I asked her why she felt the need to lie, and she had no response. The next day I told her that she didn't love me and she asked what would prove it. I suggested we go to a movie and then go out, which we did. On Sunday we were holding hands, but she didn't want us to see a mutual friend from work. The next day she told me she was moving out. She left, leaving me and our 17-year-old son alone. I asked her if I would ever see her again, and she said only at weddings, funerals, and graduations. I am confused as to how a woman can live with someone for 27 years and then walk out like it was nothing. It has been 1 month since she left, and I haven't seen her since. She has been posting strange things on Facebook, possibly to make me jealous or angry. My mother told me to let her do it, as she is only making a fool of herself. Sure enough, she took down all the songs and photos as well as the family pictures and has almost disappeared from Facebook. I am wondering what is going on with her other than the affair. Is her deleting the pictures a sign of her guilt? Is there a chance she will come back? I have never been through something like this before. I also want her to experience the pain she has caused me and our family. Is there such a thing as karma? Will her new fling last? I want her to feel the hurt she has caused us. I believe the man she is seeing is younger than her, as she was a supervisor and worked with younger staff. She used to bring books to work for a coworker to read and has now moved to a block near her work so she can walk there. She was even written up by the union for hugging a younger male coworker, but I dismissed it as her being caring. She still texts our son, but I'm left wondering what is going on with her. Him to meet her after work and gets him not to tell me. What is really bothersome is we used to have such an open home where people could come in and discuss things, but now it has turned into this dark, secretive place where no one trusts anyone anymore. I am angry at this and angry she cannot see what she has done to everyone. I want her to see. One more thing about Facebook. I understand why she took down the sexy songs, but why would she take down family pictures? Work pictures? Everything? It's like she's lost her identity. I am really confused about that. I know I'll never be able to trust her again, but I still care about her. Is that messed up? I don't want her to get hurt, or worse yet, hurt herself when she realizes what she did. The thing I am most miffed about is her anger towards me. She treats me like garbage, and one would think she would feel guilty and apologize for what she's done, and that, despite doing wrong, she would at the very least do well by our kids and family. At the very least, be apologetic for the pain she's caused. I keep thinking I should have seen this coming and wished I never married her. Crazy but true. I keep saying I should have put my foot down when she was clubbing, but I didn't feel I had a choice. She was gonna do it anyway. On the way out the door, she mentioned all the things I never did and things I did do that bothered her. I keep going over and over these things in my mind and thinking I should have paid more attention to her, etc. But I complimented her daily, treated her well, etc. Then I ask myself, did I put up with a lot of things from her? And I ask myself, was there anything she ever did to me that would make me go out and take off my clothes and sleep with another woman? The answer is always no, but it drives me crazy thinking I was responsible for the affair. Is this freaking normal? Bad night last night. Heard from friends that saw my former spouse out with her boyfriend at a concert. She is so flagrantly shameless about her behavior, and she was driving our family car. It's like she doesn't care a lick what I think. It's amazing how devastated one can get over this stuff. I mean, I know she slept with the guy numerous times. So why would her going public bother me so much? Then I also found out there was stuff I left behind when I moved out, and she didn't call me about it. She coldly went to a mutual friend and dropped it off with them. After I knew her for 30 years, it makes no sense at all. I knew it was a mistake, but I was devastated when she told me of the affair. I couldn't live with her, and wasn't well enough to take care of our son. So I thought the most prudent thing to do was to let her take care of our son and me get myself together. However, it's been 6 weeks, and I've got myself together a bit, but I see she is not taking care of our son. She's out every night with her boyfriend. So yeah, was it a mistake? Yeah, but I had to get myself together first. Understand, I keep wondering, what would a guy say to a woman to convince her to leave her husband of 26 years and 17-year-old son? It boggles my mind. Now, as for lawyers, I live in Canada and I do not have money for an attorney. I'd love to file separation and divorce papers ASAP, but have no money. Finally, I am concerned about the whole tough love thing, because I'm afraid she will use it as a way to say, see, he never was supportive of me. I do not want her back, but I am having a hard time letting go as well. It's sort of messed up. 6 weeks ago I was crushed. I am a little better now. Thank you for the whole rewriting of history. I have been telling people that's what she's doing. Cripes, 2 weeks before she had an affair, she had pictures of a family trip to Florida all over Facebook under the folder Family Fun in Florida. Then 2 weeks later, it was all negative. Talk about mind-boggling. The one thing that drives me crazy is that people tell me that I must have done something to make her unhappy. Then my mind starts spinning again. I am not going to accept responsibility for her affair. Oh, yay for those discussions about seeing a doctor. I was having great pain down below and went to a doctor who believes I might have contracted an STD, which I think led her to such levels of anger because she cannot deny the affair. I am extremely pissed that she would put me at risk with unprotected sex and then not tell me. It's a higher level of betrayal. I am worried about my son, and I am pissed that I even had to go get tests done. I mean, everyone was looking at me like I was the one messing around. The staff knows what you're being tested for. I mean, I never had an STD in my life, and now I get it from my wife. As I said to the doctor, I don't mind paying for my mistakes, but having to pay for the mistakes of others makes me angry. Here's something I am a bit confused about. If I don't speak to her, never talk to her, and she sent me an email saying never to contact her again, how does anything ever get resolved? Not even for a future relationship, but a working relationship with our kids. Why am I out of the house? Because she initially left and walked out, and I was so devastated that I did not know what to do. Plus, she went out and moved in with a buddy and was telling my son she was not fooling around and staying at a friend's place, and she left because of me. My son kept saying to me that nothing was going on between my former spouse and anyone else. So I spoke with my mother, who said she's lying to your son because she can keep it hidden. Let her move back in and she will have to show her true colors. So I did in true to form. She started spending every night out overnight, and it did not take a week before I asked my son about it, and he said, I see what's going on. I am not stupid. It was important enough to me to win the PR war with my son. I wasn't gonna let her ruin my reputation with my son because she chose to sleep with someone else. Screw that. The house is being sold and I am told she is moving elsewhere, probably her boyfriend's place. I am seeing a lawyer on Monday. It's really messed up because I'd like to know why this whole thing happened, how it happened, and most importantly, I'd like an apology. I mean, there's just common decency in how you treat people, especially someone you've known for 30 years. For clarification's sake, I was not prying into my wife's whereabouts or anything of the sort. She was secretly meeting my son and spinning her story, telling him nothing was going on when, in fact, I knew there was, but I couldn't prove it. So, I'm not going to tell him then, but when she moved back in with him, and he saw her staying out night after night, then I felt it was important to point out the lies she told him earlier, to which he replied, "I'm not blind." That's all I wanted him to see. We had an open and honest home before this happened, and I wanted it to remain so despite her dishonesty. I'm saying my children, who are 19 and 17, both boys, should know the truth about the situation and not allow her to spin her chain. I've been unhappy for many years, bull. And that's why she's leaving. She's leaving because she met someone else, plain and simple. We had a family trip to Florida 2 weeks before she left, and everyone had a good time, and she posted family fun in Florida on Facebook. Then she leaves 2 weeks later. I'm sure the kids know the truth. Some people may see through the deception, but it is important to me that they see the truth, so they are not manipulated in the future. And if they are, they can recognize it. I had many opportunities to act, but I considered the impact on my children, my marriage, my extended family, and most importantly, my spouse. Here's the thing. I understand that one can develop feelings for someone else, but even then, it is important to sit down with family and discuss the situation, whether the marriage can be saved, and how it will affect the children. You take care of each other. You don't just walk out the door without saying anything and leave the family to pick up the pieces of your selfish actions. And then to further victimize them, you blame the innocent spouse for your actions. It's classless. Today, I went to church and saw a First Communion, which made me sad because it reminded me of my 2 boys' First Communions and how happy we were as a family back then. But that was in the past, and this is now. Then I realized I didn't end the marriage, she did. And it is her responsibility to deal with the consequences. I can hold my head up high and say that I did what I could. I received a touching text from my oldest child saying that I did my best, but I can't control everything. It made me see the truth. What happened tonight? She knows I am going to see a lawyer tomorrow morning for an uncontested divorce on the grounds of adultery. Out of the blue, she told me she is looking for one of the people who informed me that she was seeing someone and who saw her out on 2 occasions with the other person. It seems like she is going to try to contest the divorce on the grounds of adultery. I thought it was because she didn't want a divorce, but my friend believes she only wants it on record that she committed adultery. It doesn't matter to me, but I want it on record anyway. I am from Canada, and in most provinces, there is a 1-year waiting period before a divorce can be granted. However, if there is adultery, this waiting period is waived, and you can apply for an immediate divorce. That's what I'm going to do, and she knows it. So I think she's either trying to prevent me from doing that, or she's trying to gather evidence against me. That's why she is trying to contact this person to get dirt on me and save face officially. Like saying he did that, and that's why I cheated. But that makes no sense because in Canada, there are no-fault divorces, and all post-marital assets are split equally. So she has nothing to gain other than saving face. She will try to gather information on me, or delay the divorce, or even try to save the marriage by getting this person to say that she never cheated. But I know the truth, and she practically admitted it. She was seen dating this person and spending nights out with them. In Canada, I don't have to prove actual infidelity and with whom, just the reasonable probability that an affair occurred. I recently heard an interesting take on my ex and how she is explaining her situation to our former friends, who have all sided with her. She is saying that she didn't start sleeping with the other person until the night she stormed out the door, So she never actually cheated on me because we were already separated when she started seeing them. She is trying to make it seem like she did the noble thing by telling me she was leaving and then immediately moving in with the other person. What a lie! But once again, I find myself questioning if she is right. When does infidelity actually begin? And if you are separated at the time you start sleeping with someone else, is that still considered an affair? I am confused. In my mind, she is just splitting hairs and trying to justify her actions. She set up the affair and was ready to go. All she had to do was find someone else. To do was get rid of me. But where's her fidelity before this? I think she still did commit adultery. Good news on the STD front, just got tests back from the doctor and they are all negative. Thank God. If my ex-wife contacted me, I wouldn't take her back. But I would like to talk to her at least to have a working relationship with our kids. The problem is she feels so guilty for the affair. I believe she can't face me. She gave me cards saying she loved me 2 weeks before she left. Confusing. I believe she did check out on me a long time ago too. 3 years ago, she had an emotional affair with one of my best friends. Before that, when I used to talk about growing old with her, she would say she's not growing old with me. We seemed to be getting along fine, and I thought it was just a phase that would pass. My ex is talking to her friends and some of my former friends, saying she was faithful to me, and she did the noble thing by telling me it was over and then walking out the door and moving right in with the other guy. She is saying she didn't actually have sex with the guy until after she moved out, so technically she did not commit adultery because we were separated at the time she started sleeping with him. It messes with my mind, and I think perhaps she's right. I don't know. She's been gone for 7 weeks, and I am now starting to feel free. Lately, in the last few days, I noticed the dark, heavy emotion lifting, and I am feeling better. I feel like my self-esteem is coming back. I realize I did nothing wrong. I surround myself with supportive people, and they are starting to show me that she never treated me well. And for years, she was running me down to others. They were amazed that I tolerated so much. Here's the paradox. She left me because she said the marriage didn't meet her needs, and I was not fulfilling her. And now I see how the marriage didn't meet my needs, and I was not being fulfilled by the marriage. Now, my children see what is going on, and they are fully in my corner. My friends see what happened, and they are fully in my corner. As are my family. Things turned around. I see her life, and it is not going to be pretty for her. She is alone. I actually have sympathy for her. A mutual friend of ours came up to me today and asked what I am doing now. I told her that my wife left me for another guy, and she said, "I have known you for years, and you are one of the most decent guys I have ever known." Did she know what she just threw away? It really validated me and made me see that decent people see what happened and will not let me falter. There is justice in the world, and we attract what we put out. For all those experiencing infidelity, hang in there and it will get better. Things will turn around. I was just sitting here thinking about my STBXW and whether there were any signs of her hooking up with a coworker and her leaving. In hindsight, there were plenty of signs, but I did not pay attention to them. Here are some of them. She stopped having breakfast with both of us and was always in a hurry to get to work. She paid particular attention to her appearance before going to work. She used to wear her work clothes to work and change at home, but started to dress for work and change at work. She saved text messages that incriminated me but deleted messages that incriminated her. For example, if I ever got upset with her, she would save that message but delete her messages to the affair partner and her girlfriends about going out. She stopped looking for reasons to be with me and started looking for reasons to be out and at work. Hindsight is 20/20, but all the signs were there. I just didn't pay attention, and I regret not confronting her about them. But when I did finally confront her, she was out the door. So I do not think it would help. Within a few weeks, I was talking to a former lady friend and became emotionally involved with her. All was well for quite some time, and I felt like I was in love all over again. The trouble is, she has her own issues, and she does not know if she wants to be in or out of a relationship at this point. Now I'm feeling worse than ever and find myself thinking about my former spouse more than ever. and I am worse off than I was before. When I was this person, I thought little of her and thought I was glad to get rid of her, and was happy to be moving on. That paradox did not escape me. Furthermore, I feel the emotional affair I had with this new person helped me push away from my former STBXW, so it was like an escape affair. While it's ending, I am not thinking of my STBXW, I am thinking of her. So the ironies in all of this are incredible. Now I know my ex is not thinking of me like I thought. I am not even in her head. She's thinking of her OP, not me. I don't know whether to be grateful for this experience because it pushes me on, or feel bad because it is another disappointment. I feel a bit of both. A month later, I am going through a nasty separation where my spouse is bad-mouthing me to my sons. One son doesn't believe a word she says, but the other one does. My youngest has completely bought into her lies and venomous slander. I am worried about how this will affect him and our relationship in the long run. My son's graduation from high school was a few weeks ago, and my former spouse was there with a miniskirt up to her thigh. When she saw me, after not seeing me for 3 months, she walked up to me and smiled and said, "What are you doing standing here alone, mister?" Like nothing ever happened. I was taken aback by her boldness and lack of remorse. Then I walked away from her and looked back, and she was crying. I didn't know what to do, because I heard she was hiking with the other man the day before. As I was walking out the door, she came over and said, "You are invited to my place for champagne." I said, "Thanks for the invitation," to which she replied, "No, you don't understand. Please come over." I said again, "Thanks for the invitation." The moment still bothers me. Do you think she was genuinely sorry and misses me? Or was she just putting on a show? I didn't trust it, given the other man is still in the picture. I am confused by her apparent duality, such as feeling guilty but showing no remorse. I agree that perhaps she was gauging me to see how I felt and was hurt when it was clear the disdain I felt for her. I am not sure if I want closure, but a sincere apology about messing up 3 lives in one selfish act would be a nice start. I've been thinking about the last exchange and how she had no moral authority to tell me or even ask me to come over. She was begging me. Funny how relationships change so quickly. Cripes, I felt empowered around her for the first time in a long time. Not sure if I want closure, but once again, an apology for messing up 3 lives would be nice. I'm sure she's not capable of it, and frankly, I'm not sure she's sorry. I'd really like to tell her about how hurt and disgusted I am by her actions, and ask her how she could be so deceptive to someone she was with for 28 years. I'm sure she would have liked to play me and try to lure me back, but with the other man in the background, it is not going to happen. I will not play second fiddle to any man in a relationship. I am worth more than that. Funny how life works. I got involved with her, but when I did finally confront her, she was out the door. So I do not think it would help. Within a few weeks, I was talking to a former lady friend and became emotionally involved with her. All was well for quite some time, and I felt like I was in love all over again. The trouble is she has her own issues, and she does not know if she wants to be in or out of a relationship at this point. Now I'm feeling worse than ever, and find myself thinking about my former spouse more than ever. And I am worse off than I was before. When I was this person, I thought little of her, and thought I was glad to get rid of her, and was happy to be moving on. That paradox did not escape me. Furthermore, I feel the emotional affair I had with this new person helped me push away from my former STBXW, so it was like an escape affair. While it's ending, I am not thinking of my STBXW, I am thinking of her. So the ironies in all of this are incredible. Now I know my ex is not thinking of me like I thought. I am not even in her head. She's thinking of her OP, not me. I don't know whether to be grateful for this experience because it pushes me on, or feel bad because it is another disappointment. I feel a bit of both. A month later, I am going through a nasty separation where my spouse is bad-mouthing me to my sons. One son doesn't believe a word she says, but the other one does. My youngest has completely bought into her lies and venomous slander. I am worried about how this will affect him and our relationship in the long run. My son's graduation from high school was a few weeks ago, and my former spouse was there with a miniskirt up to her thigh. When she saw me, after not seeing me for 3 months, she walked up to me and smiled and said, "What are you doing standing here alone, mister?" Like nothing ever happened. I was taken aback by her boldness and lack of remorse. Then I walked away from her and looked back, and she was crying. I didn't know what to do because I heard she was hiking with the other man the day before. As I was walking out the door, she came over and said, "You are invited to my place for champagne." I said, "Thanks for the invitation," to which she replied, "No, you don't understand. Please come over." I said again, "Thanks for the invitation." The moment still bothers me. Do you think she was genuinely sorry and misses me, or was she just putting on a show? I didn't trust it, given the other man is still in the picture. I am confused by her apparent duality, such as feeling guilty but showing no remorse. I agree that perhaps she was gauging me to see how I felt and was hurt when it was clear the disdain I felt for her. I am not sure if I want closure, but a sincere apology about messing up 3 lives in one selfish act would be a nice start. I've been thinking about the last exchange and how she knew she had no moral authority to tell me or even ask me to come over. She was begging me. Funny how relationships change so quickly. Cripes, I felt empowered around her for the first time in a long time. Not sure if I want closure, but once again, an apology for messing up 3 lives would be nice. I'm sure she's not capable of it, and frankly, I'm not sure she's sorry. I'd really like to tell her about how hurt and disgusted I am by her actions, and ask her how she could be so deceptive to someone she was with for 28 years. I'm sure she would have liked to play me and try to lure me back, but with the other man in the background, it is not going to happen. I will not play second fiddle to any man in a relationship. I am worth more than that. Funny how life works. I got involved with her. I got involved with another woman soon after we split up against everyone's advice. She started behaving the way my ex did before we moved in together, saying we were never really in a relationship so she could date other people. I cut the relationship off quickly, much easier the second time, and I'm quicker to see things now and less tolerant of BS. Funny how we tend to attract similar people. A month later, my STBXW is now going through hard financial times because her dirtbag of a partner was not helping her out like she thought. But she had our 18-year-old son wrapped around her finger, who is now seeing the ramifications of her decision to leave and be single. She is broke, and he is embarrassed by her behavior, but he needs money. And whenever I send him money, she holds back giving him money, so in essence, I'm giving her money. Her manipulation of money really pisses me off to the point where I do not want to give money to my son because it only allows her more money for herself. My STBX is now alone with her affair partner, as our youngest just moved out of home and off to university. When I talked to our youngest before he went away, he said, "Why aren't you happy for Mom?" She is happy, forgetting how she so coldly left the family and broke us up back in March. I see how his morals have changed since this happened. He used to say commitment is important, but now says being happy is important. After my wife and I split up due to her inappropriate relationship with a coworker, my son lived with her for 6 months prior to going to university. Somehow she is able to convince him that she was right and I was wrong, telling him, "Your father should man up, and I am happy now with the new guy." My son and I were best friends before the breakup, and now he has anger towards me. He posts pictures of her and him on Facebook and condones her behavior. Now that he is away from her at university and she is with her affair partner, he is angrier at me because of the less money due to pooled resources. I see signs of him finally coming around due to being away from her constant put-downs of me. He is now saying, "We're both messed up," which is a step up from saying, "I'm messed up." And that he is dealing with his parents' divorce, which is a step out of denial from his mother being happy. Will my son ever see that his mother was the cause of all this pain and not me? I hate her for this alone. I am a tad confused by my STBXW's actions or lack thereof. She is living with another guy in a place 1,000 miles away from me, and I want a divorce to move on with my life. I have not seen her in over 7 months, and yet she will not sign divorce papers. In my jurisdiction, you have to be separated for 1 year before a divorce can be finalized, unless there is an agreement or infidelity, which I would be forced to prove. yet she won't sign the divorce papers. I know most would say she is cake eating, but there's no cake to be had. I'm gone and never to return, and she is living with someone else. Why does she not just sign the papers? I'm confused. It could be due to her not caring, but that's just like her. But she was also very decisive when it came to decisions. In or out, but for some reason she's not doing this now. It would just be so easy for her to just move on, but I guess for her, it makes no difference. As for wanting her back, it could never happen. I am used to not having her now and would not go back to her even if I could. The betrayal would be with me for the rest of my days. It's easier to start over with someone new. I just got back from my former in-laws' place and I did not go in, but they said to my friend that I should go in anytime, and that as far as they are concerned, I am still part of the family. Concerning my STBXW, they believe she was at fault and I have nothing to fear by visiting them. They also believe the same holds true for my former mother-in-law. I am amazed. This is my STBXW's sister and mother. I believe the reason I received support is because I followed the advice to expose the truth. Now everyone sees the truth, and I am not the guilty party. A little over half a year later, I am at my son's place, and who comes waltzing in after not seeing her for over 18 months? My ex-wife. She comes in acting civil but feeling entitled. She acts as if nothing happened, then suddenly becomes civil. She starts by saying how happy she is, so I suggest we get a divorce. She agrees, but claims she cannot afford $500. I find this to be an excuse. She then goes on to say that her relationship with her AP is none of my business, and that our relationship was a dead end for years. When I mention that my friends saw her with her AP, she becomes defensive and says it's creepy, and that's why she wanted out for years. She continues to spew about how happy she is, and how her relationship with her AP is no one's business. She claims that no one has the right to talk about it, but I state that I will talk about whatever I want. She responds by saying, that's why we are no longer in a relationship. She is clearly on a power trip. She also states that no one has the right to talk about the nature of her relationship with her AP. When I mention that my friends saw her at a place, she again says it's creepy. I point out that it's creepy to have an affair behind your husband's back. Comments, see her and get this over with. Your wife threatened you and you moved. Your wife shows up and you create all this drama. You are clinging to a woman that you call your wife in some posts and your ex in others. Stop being so conflicted. Stop clinging to the hope of wanting a family with this woman. You have not moved on. You have not given up. It is painful to see you doing this to yourself. You get upset that she wished you a happy birthday, but then you write that you sent her birthday greetings prior to this. Then you question her motives. Stop this nonsense for your own good. Your boys know the story. I suspect they know more than you do about the AP, the reasons, etc. And I suspect they want things to work out for you and your wife, but are still conflicted about how this will all turn out. You stated that you go to church and that the Bible states that adultery is grounds for divorce. You have your justification from a moral, religious, and legal standpoint. Stop engaging with her. Focus on your boys. Help them through school. Don't bring up their mother to them. Disengage from her. File for divorce and end this. It makes no sense that she can't come up with $500, but I don't even want to focus on that because it doesn't matter. She is lying and most likely has the money. She doesn't care. She has moved on and divorce is not important to her. She is living her life without you, and divorce doesn't matter to her one way or the other. In her mind, she is probably thinking, why spend any money on a divorce when I'm living my life the way I want to live it? My husband left and I don't care. Honestly, why should she spend the money on a divorce when you're not giving her any reason to do so? OP responds it takes $1,000 to file and I don't have it, and then to have her served. Another $300, and that's if it is not contested. I am making ends meet right now with 2 kids and university where I put any extra money. It'll get done. Right now, I am just trying to get my own house in order, both career-wise and financially. Weeks later, I was driving down the road last week and got rear-ended, which resulted in a broken C5 vertebrae in my neck. I am experiencing numbness down both of my limbs, and I am worried that some sort of karma bus has hit me. The numbness is not too bad today. I am feeling down today because yesterday was Canada's Thanksgiving, and it is a time for family get-togethers. However, my family did not gather for obvious reasons. It is times like these that really hit me and make me realize that we no longer have a family and what we have lost due to my ex's affair. From what I know, she is off playing mommy with a new family, which I really do not care about. But moments like these really highlight what was lost. It is disheartening to not even receive a simple hope you are okay after the accident. It just feels cold. My friend keeps telling me that my ex is a master manipulator, and I am starting to believe him. While driving down the road, I saw one of her close confidants, someone who supported her in the affair. When she saw me, she gave me a disgusted look and walked away from my vehicle. It made me wonder, what did I do that was wrong? How am I the bad guy? Then I realized that it was probably the venom from my ex's mouth that turned this woman against me. 2 years later, here is my final update. I am well on the other side of it, and no, my spouse and I did not get back together. Time has moved on, and I am content with my life today. I live alone and am not involved with anyone else. I have reflected on my past relationship and realized that I had a huge contributory role in the failure of my marriage. I often sought affection from my wife and did not provide the necessary support for her soul to flourish. While it was her decision to cheat, she is to blame for that. However, I have learned that I was not always a good husband to her and often neglected her. When this happens repeatedly, eventually someone looks elsewhere. I am sharing this because I know that I am a much better man today because of the breakup, and I will be a much better partner in my next relationship. I believe that everything happens for a reason, and sometimes the best results come out of the worst experiences. To those dealing with this pain, I want to say that there is a rainbow on the other side. Stay safe in your marriages. And I have one more story to share for today.